Welcome to Savva Talks Spurs. I am, of course, Savva. As you know, I am very excited today because I am joined by Fuad, who I have watched for ages, tried to get a link up. He's rejected me, put me in the friend zone, and now he's given me a first date opportunity. How are you, sir? You well?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. As you said, literally long overdue. I wasn't aware. The message must have not been getting to me. I checked my connections. I checked my letters as well. But no, it's good to be here. Appreciate you having me on, man.
No, listen. The pleasure's all mine. For anyone who was expecting Tobes already, I'm seeing messages talking about Tobes being late. He's stuck at a work event. So he is going to be joining us in 20 minutes or so, and then he will be jumping off to watch Love Island. So that's the last time I'm going to mention Love Island. Fred, listen, there's so much to get into. The world of Tottenham Hotspur is crazy. And before I do that, listen, first of all, thank you to everyone who's watching. Please smash that like button. As always, I'll say, listen, I'll never tell anyone to super chat. However, if you do, just know that 50% of it does go to the British Heart Foundation. I'm always true to my word. So we're raising money for charity while talking nonsense about Tottenham Hotspur. Get your comments in as well. Any questions we will answer as long as they're sensible and about football and not about Love Island. Fuad, talk to me. Look, I just said to you off air, I feel like the fan base is getting really, really overexcited as to something that's not yet happened. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion. Where do you see that we are? How prepared and ready are we? Has it been this great window that everyone thinks it is? Where are Tottenham right now?
I don't think it's been a great window yet, in my eyes. There's still a lot of time. And I think what our fan base is getting very excited about is the fact that I think previously, historically anyway, we haven't started transfer windows well. We've always been kind of slow, late to get deals done, sometimes wait till deadline day. The fact that we've got this many players in, I think is what people are getting overexcited about. And the fact that even like when Lenglet signed, it was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was like this big play on, we've made 5 signings. And I'm like, but how many of those 5 signings actually improved the first 11? I look at Fraser Forster, sub-keeper. I look at Perisic, possibly comes in. You look at, who was it? Lenglet, looks like he's the cover option. Basuma, I think he's the one significant improvement where you look at, that's a bit of excitement. But outside of that, I'm not really looking at anybody else and thinking this is the exciting 150 million window we was promised and the backing that Conte got. And I think what Conte is doing early on is getting a few of those guys who he thinks will die and ride for him and buy into his kind of methods. Sure. But I'm still waiting for that chunk of money we was promised. All these big money names that have been getting thrown around the last couple of weeks, they all seem to be going quiet, whether it's Guardiola, whether it's Bastoni. It all seems to be going quiet, and it's concerning me a little bit. So I hope the fan base is not getting too wrapped up with this 5 propaganda, because I want to see significant improvements. And I think you showed a little graphic earlier as well. I'm sure you'll bring it back up. But there needs to be depth brought in, and there needs to be first-team names brought in. That's why when we ended the season, I said to people, we need about 9 or 10 changes in this team. And people looked at me like, you can't do that in one window. And I said, no, it has to be done, or otherwise you're not going to go forward. I said, this squad has been so stagnant for so many years, and the small bits of recruitment we have done recently with Bergwijn, Lo Celso, and Dom, Reguilon, it's not been great. So it's almost like you're double backing on your mistakes now, and you're having to rewrite a lot wrong. So I hope people don't get wrapped up with this 5, because there's a lot more work to be done for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing for me is, you get different types of fans, right? So I've got many WhatsApp groups that I'm in that are all dedicated to Tottenham, and there's some fans in the group that are just like, oh my God, 5 signings before we've even had a friendly. We're doing bits. We've got this player. And then you get other people who are like, okay, well, we've had so many years now of failure. Let's call it what it is, of failure, of no success. And I feel like because of that, I feel like this window is almost the same as any other, but because the transfers have happened earlier rather than later, I feel like we're going overboard. So from your point of view, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that this type of window and the players that we've got in should be what we should be doing anyway, i.e. when we're in the Europa League? I don't see that any of these signings are, oh my God, Champions League, wow. But then I get called negative. So what do you think about that?
I agree with that. And honestly, that was the biggest criticism people were saying of me when I was kind of laughing at the price that we paid for Richarlison, because I said, we're all getting excited, I think, because we've spent big on a player. However, if you look at the player, I don't think he represents that value for money. And I'm thinking, if this is the big wow signing of the summer for us, I'm underwhelmed massively, in my opinion, because for me, that's a player who just survived relegation. That's not us pulling a big gun away from one of the European big boys or whatever. So for me, it's like Richarlison. I feel like even if we were in the Europa League, we could have got him. So it's no big pull for me to have pulled in Richarlison. Perisic, maybe I would have said, yeah, if we weren't playing Champions League football, he might not have come. He might have gone Chelsea. And I do think Perisic is a good, in regards to experience and winning mentality, he's a good bonus. But also, he's 33. So it's not like you've signed a spring chicken there where it's like you've got him for the next 4 or 5 years. So yeah, honestly, that's why I'm saying in my eyes, there's still a lot of work to be done in regards to cover for the front three. I still expect more to be done creatively in midfield. I think left centre back is still a big gap. If you're trusting Lenglet and Davies for the season, I worry. Right wing back, we still haven't solved that. And I'm sorry, Jed Spence, for me, I know people are going to call me negative here, but he's not the solution. The way I look at Jed Spence, he just looks like almost another curious case of Ryan Sessegnon, where we're going to have to build this project of a young prospect. Can he adapt from the Championship? Oh, if he doesn't drown, we've got Emerson, who was half decent in some moments last year. I don't want to be playing. Let's get a surefire big money signing and say, that's the guy. That's who's going to move us forward. That's an improvement.
Yeah, look, absolutely, you're spot on. And look, I mean, there's people already saying that this bloke is talking so much sense. You know, we've got people talking about what a show. Love me some Fuad, another realistic fan. Big up Savva and Fuad. Look, for me, the way I look at it is, it's really difficult to be realistic, right? Because when I feel like if I'm realistic and don't go over the top, it gets perceived as negative. So people are saying to me, "What do you think of the window?" My response is, "Yeah, it's been good, right? But good. Like I'm not going mad about it. We've signed a freebie who's just left Southampton, right? We've signed a bloke from Brighton who, don't get me wrong, is the best of the signings, but with a year left, it's not like we've gone and taken him out when he would have cost 60, 70 million. We've got Longley, who I don't mind as a player. He's okay. Then you've got Perisic, who a good signing, but again, the age is pushing up there. And then the last one you've got is Richarlison, who I think, again, good player, not getting massively excited by it. My question is this: how many of these signings are Conte signings versus Levy? Because constantly I hear, if it's a player that fans don't like, it's, oh, no. That one's Levy.
Yeah.
Like, if it's a player they like, oh, Paratici's cooking, Levy's changed.
The chef emojis come out.
Right. Whereas I look at it and go, if we're cooking, realistically, what have we cooked? Do you know what I mean?
Boiled chicken, in my eyes, just something that's filling but not very delicious. It's one of those things, as you said. Yeah, I think in regards to signings, I do think Perisic, for example, worked with Conte before. Definitely a Conte signing. I think Basuma, I'm looking at, I don't know if Conte was one per se. I look at it as maybe a club one, because he's been linked with us even since January, but then Conte was in charge then as well. So Richarlison strikes me as definitely a Conte signing. The character and even the way Conte is kind of gleaming about him in press conferences makes me think Conte was fully behind this one. But I in my opinion, I said, this is what I want to see. I want to see the club kind of give the keys to Conte and say, look, he's a world-class manager. He's shown what he can do in about 6 to 8 months. When you've given him Kulusevski and Bentancur, give him a little bit more to kind of see what you can get. For me, giving him a little bit more doesn't mean getting him a couple of free signings, a loanee, and overpaying for Richarlison. It means also spending smart and getting players that significantly improve the squad, in my eyes.
So let me bring this up, because again, it's all opinions, right? So of course mine is always right because it's my show, but other people have opinions, right? So I'm just kidding, by the way, everyone in the chat. When I see comments like this, I get it, right? And I'm not one of those fans who thinks that you have to build a team of Galacticos, to use the famous Real Madrid kind of ethos.
Mm-hmm.
What I do think, however, though, is we spend an awful lot of money going to watch Tottenham Hotspur. You know, we're one of the most expensive, if not the most expensive
Season ticket.
tickets in the world. Sausage rolls are like a fiver. You know, a program's like £5-6, whatever it is. Paying to get there, get back. You're looking at a 200 quid day to go and watch Tottenham play. Why is it frowned upon for us as fans to want a big name, to want a big signing to make me go, I'm going to the Spurs stadium this weekend? Why is that so frowned upon?
Do you know what the response will always be? When have we ever had that? And for me, that's the thing, is we've never had really much success. So why should we follow the format of what we've previously had? I get that we've historically always signed gem-like players and then kind of took them to that next platform. Toby Alderweireld, Eriksen, Son. Yeah. We make those players. But the once or twice we have tried with like an Ndombele to try and get that big marquee sign, it might have gone wrong. But that doesn't mean you never do it again in my eyes. I think there are players out there who I thought, go and break the bank. Like Bastoni would have been one for me. I would have happily seen, if we spent 85 million on it, I would have been like, that's worth it. Because when I look at the player and what he can become and for the longevity that he could have at our club, it will be worth the money by the time he leaves 8-9 years time or whatever it is. So for me, there's players out there who I think you do break the bank for, but then it is also a dangerous market where you don't want to end up in a situation where you're overpaying for players at the same time just because of the hype they're getting. Like, personally, I feel like Liverpool have overpaid massively for Darwin Núñez. Mm-hmm. A year ago, he was linked with 30 million to Brighton. 6 months ago, it was 50 million to Arsenal. All of a sudden, he's gone up that much over a year. So you don't want to get caught up in these things as well. But at the same time, I want to see ambition. And that's, for me, the thing I think you're leaning on is don't be too scared to aim too high. And I think a lot of Spurs fans, sometimes they look at certain names and they're like, would he come and mess up the dressing room? Where would he fit in the squad? Don't worry about that. Just get the quality in. Fergie used to have 4 world-class strikers and would some way, somehow find a way to rotate them and win things with them. That's what you do. You have quality in abundance. You don't worry about, is he going to impact Skip's minutes if he comes in? Or is there a guy? I don't care about that. I just want a team that wins. And the team that wins, guess what? The minute we're winning, everyone's going to get behind the players who are there.
Absolutely. I think the key thing isn't it, is I feel like we worry so much about, like you said there, like, I don't want to stop Skip or Parrott getting a few minutes. Big clubs, I don't ever hear their fans talking like that. I don't ever hear Chelsea fans going, well, hang on, let's not buy a centre mid because we want Gallagher to get minutes. They can just afford for players like Gallagher, who I think is brilliant, to go to another Premier League club on loan. If we did that at Spurs, it would be, oh my God, blah, 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 blah. You know, so for me, I'm not saying I need everyone to be a wow signing. I think we deserve it as fans. I keep hearing lots of people saying things like, well, hang on, we don't want to go down the Man United route of big signings with no success. But I want to bring people back to, these would be the same fans that tell you that City, that Chelsea, that Liverpool, that United back in the day only was successful because they spent money. So it can't work both ways. You either want to spend, teams either win because they spend big money and buy the best players, or they don't. I don't remember, other than Leicester, a team that has won a league by constantly just free transfers and loans and stuff like that. But just before we go on, I've got a super chat here. So thank you, Johnny Be Good, always in the show. Johnny has said, hi guys, will we make 2 or 3 more signings? Question is, will they be signings for a lot of money or on the cheap? I think a mixture. Fuad, what do you reckon?
See, for me, I don't think the 2 signings that I really want to be addressed next are the right wing back position and the left centre back positions. And they're starting lineup positions. That's why I feel like you can't go cheap on these 2. These are the 2 positions that almost at the start of the window, I would have even said that's where the majority of our budget needs to go. So for me, I kind of want to see good quality signings come in. And Evan Ndika, who I think is a decent player, I only saw kind of the back end. Benoit Badiachuil's another name who I've seen a few games at Monaco. He looks like a decent option. Names like Pau Torres, maybe I want to stay away a little bit from. He's more in the mold of Lenglet, in my opinion. But that's the kind of player where if the money gets spent there, I don't mind that. The right wing back is a little bit more tricky one because I don't think there's that many certified options out there, if you like. I think the two names that I personally like, Riddle Baku, who is at Wolfsburg, is a right winger, can play as a right wing back, very creative player, technically good. So you know you're getting end product with him. The other one that I've heard banded around for the last day or two, to be honest, which I want to get your thoughts on as well. Kyle Walker-Peters possibly returning. I'm thinking if we spent 30 million on Emerson last year, I look at Kyle Walker-Peters as a better option. He's improved, a much better player than what he was when he was with us. I think he's become a Premier League proven player. I know Spurs fans are always stuck in the cycle of let's bring back Bale, let's bring back everyone, let's bring back Walker. But for me, I do think Kyle Walker will come in as an academy homegrown quota as well. He would be a better option than maybe breaking the bank for someone else.
See, I don't mind Kyle Walker-Peters. I think my issue with that signing is he's better than what we've got, but not enough for me to go, yeah, that's why we're buying him back. That's the only thing for me. And you know, we were promised it was the five things. It was once the training ground's done, once the stadium's done, once we've got Champions League, then we've got the world-class manager, we've got the world-class director of football. There's no excuses anymore to be buying in players like that. Just quickly, I just want to address this point. N17 Spurs has said Liverpool signed Nunes for 100 million, who is trash. What's your point, bro? Bro, I'll tell you what my point is that teams like Liverpool, they'll go and spend 85 million, whatever they spent on Nunes. And if it doesn't work out, you know what? They'll move him on and they'll go again. What we do as a fan base is we go, oh, Ndombele stung us. We'll never buy another player at that price. It's not, you know, it's like if you were in the dating scene, you can't go, oh, that date didn't work, I'm never going to date again. It's just not, it can't work like that.
Just look at Chelsea last summer. Look who's back. Mr. Big Lukaku, homecoming, 1 year later shipped off. Yeah, like that's cutthroat.
Absolutely. And look, the thing is, I get it, right? I'm not naive enough and I'm old and ugly enough to know that not every big signing is going to work. But the point is, if you get it right, you get it right. Yeah. And I bet all these fans that are saying we don't need big wow signings, I can guarantee you they're the ones saying that Man City only win things because Man City buy top players. If not, don't worry. If Man City are spending 60 million on Haaland, it doesn't matter because we don't want that, right? That's what I'm hearing from fans. We don't want those wow players. So I want to talk to you about, you mentioned at the beginning, and we talked a bit off air about this, it's about depth. So I get a lot of people, I'm in a lot of shows at the moment. I'm sick of the sight of myself, to be honest. And I'm seeing a lot of people telling me, all right, I've calculated it. I reckon we're getting 90 points. I reckon we're going to get 92. We're going to overtake Liverpool. Chelsea, they're in our rearview mirror. We've got nothing to worry about. Now, I don't know about you, mate, but I look at this and I go, well, hang on. Yeah, we're getting towards a very good 11. But again, I look at our bench, and I'm going to bring this graphic up that I showed you earlier so everyone can see. I look at our bench, and this team, forget the 11, but this isn't about for everyone to debate whether this is the best 11 or not. This was just an 11 I thought would start the first game. My point is, when you look at those, even then, I look at the right wing back, it's okay. Centre backs other than Romero, it's okay. Central midfield, I feel like there's absolutely no guile, craft attacking there. And then, Fuad, I look to the sub bench and I think in a season where we're having 55 to 60 games, if all goes well, in a season where there's a World Cup, and more importantly, in a season when there's 5 subs allowed, I look at that bench and go, what's coming off that bench, Fuad, in any game, other than maybe what Richarlison, that tells me we could compete with Liverpool and City, who are bringing on Grealish, Mahrez, Alvarez next year. Liverpool are bringing on Luis Diaz, Nunes. Do you get my point?
And that's what we mean by, like, even like not people saying wow signings, but like names that will kind of get you motivated, names that you can kind of think will make impact off the bench. And I look at that team and I'm like, I'm seeing names like Scarlett and Parrott. These guys should be developing out on loan. We should have had bodies in to replace that. So for me, it's like, I always felt like getting bodies out of Spurs always seems so much harder than even signing, which is a chore.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
it always seems so difficult for us to offload players. I don't know whether it's because Levy always wants to make profit or break even. He always seems to be highlighting, I don't know, the smallest differences. But for me, depth has been an issue for us, I think, since going back to Pochettino, in all honesty. It's never changed. And for me, we have to make signings. We have to bring more bodies in. And Richarlison, Bentancur, if that's all you've got coming on in a season where you're saying it's 5 subs as well, I think that is very key. What people are sleeping on is the bigger teams are going to have an advantage because of that. They're able to bring better quality. They're able to bring Calvin Phillips and all these players, give them minutes. And we're going to instead still have Lucas Moura running around for the 6th season in a row. It's like, that don't get the juices flowing for me. I'm sorry. And this is why for a long time, I feel like there is that gap between City and Liverpool and the rest of the league. It's the rest of that league. I don't think everyone thinks, even those thinking we're in front of Chelsea, believe me, we're not that far. We're not ahead. Not yet. Even Arsenal, who we just about crawled over because they bottled it, let's be honest. They've gone and signed Jesus, and now they've kind of completed a little bit more of their front line. You look at their starting 11, you're looking at it like it's a little bit more complete. Now they need to get depth in. Similar issue like us. I think we still have those problems in the first team, however. So it's, as I said at the start, a lot of work to be done.
So let me move this a step further down that point. And now listen, everybody, before anyone shouts at me and tells me I'm negative, listen, this is just, if I came on here every week and said everything was rosy, it would be boring and we'd never get any viewers. Also, quickly, if everybody could at the same time, I know it's a pipe dream, go and hit the like button. We're on 62 likes. There's 150 of you in here. Hit that like button. It really does help. And as always, if you do put in any super chats, we will read out your message and the money does go to charity. Fuad, let me move that on further. So there's our sub bench, right? So from that bench, you've probably got Bentancur that can come on in midfield and Richarlison up front. Now, let's assume we get a couple of long-term injuries. So now, one of that front 4 is injured for 3 to 6 months. And it could happen, right? Listen, this is football. Now you've not got a single striker on the bench, right? Now, one of those central midfielders gets injured, right? Now you've got one central midfielder who's a pro on the bench. Now, this is my point. Before Spurs fans start getting, oh my God, we're going to catch Liverpool and Liverpool are going to fall away and Chelsea are finished. I think for me, I don't know about you, but this season for me needs to be a consolidation and trying to close a gap, which is 23 points, 24 points. Close that gap for me. So I'm not being negative. I would love us to be 3rd or 4th, close that gap to the big boys. But are fans deluded who are talking about a title challenge? Or am I just being really, really glass half empty?
No, I'm sorry. We're so far off a title challenge. And if that doesn't show you, in Chelsea, who were European champions last year, signed a Romelu Lukaku to complete their team and couldn't get anywhere close to Man City and Liverpool. They've set a standard where these guys are winning 15, 16 games in a row and not conceding any goals, and maybe 8 of them. So it's a different level to think that we're now title contenders because we've signed Perisic and Richarlison. I'm sorry. As you said there, for me, this season needs to be about A, closing that gap. B, what can Conte do in cups? In reality, it might sound a little bit weird, but I want to do what Chelsea did last year. Finish 3rd in a solid, almost cut above the rest of the top 4 in your own position, but then reach far in the cups as well, where they got to the FA Cup final, the Carabao Cup final. Give yourself that opportunity to win silverware. That for me would be progression for Spurs. The year after that, if Conte renews now, that's a different animal, and we can get to down that road when we get there. But for next season, as you said, for me, it's close that gap, do as well as you can in the cups. That's what I want to see from Conte, because his cup record as well isn't the greatest. So I do want to see him improve that as well.
Yeah. So let me just say, I'll say this to everyone in the chat. Whenever I come on a stream and talk, I can only talk about the squad as it is now, right? So when people say to me, oh, but the window's not shut. But look, I can't predict the future. So I have to go with what we've got now. And I'm looking at this and thinking realistically, come the first game of the season, of the 5 signings, 2 are going to start, right? Realistically, Perisic and Bissouma. Even then, you know, he trusts Højbjerg, he trusts Bentancur. So even then, it might not be Bissouma. My thing at the beginning of this window was whoever comes in, it needs to be that our first team players drop down. Not all, obviously, I'm not talking about Kane and Son and Romero, but the first team players drop down and that the players brought in go into there. My worry is that we're doing it the other way and that the majority of players we're actually getting are going to sit down here on the bench.
Yeah.
Is that
It's
something that we could see?
And I agree with you, and that is how I see it, because it should be kind of the guys who've been kind of faltering. Also, Højbjerg should be dropping to the bench in my eyes. Reguilon should be dropping to the bench. It shouldn't be kind of in guys who are almost squad depth covered that we're signing. This is what we're saying in not wow signings, not marquee signings, but guys who are significantly going to improve the first team squad. Like, I'll be honest with you, when we signed Reguilon, I thought, wow, that's our left back position. So now that Danny Rose has fell off for a year or two, this is the kind of guy we can build around. He hasn't lived up to it. If we can offload him now, listen, Perisic, he's 33. Let's say he gets a knock as well. You're now back to relying on Sessegnon.
Right. I was going to come on to him. Like,
that is a problem for me. And we saw like at the back end of the season when it was Sessegnon, in the Liverpool game, he played well in certain games, but can you really rely on him week in, week out? Has he really found that confidence? Has he made that left wing back position his own? So for me, that's the thing I worry about is, we're saying we want depth, but that doesn't mean sign players to be for the actual bench. It means sign first team players and the guys who are there almost have to win their shirt back, almost have to compete for that position, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, lots of people, I like to get the chat involved. So lots of comments I always get is about Liverpool. For some reason, as I said to you a couple of times already, for some reason, something's happened that I've missed. I don't know if you've missed it, but apparently we're better than Liverpool all of a sudden. A team that were 180 minutes away from winning the quadruple. But never mind, we'll gloss that over. What people don't get is when they say Liverpool really haven't better options up front, though, I really wouldn't swap our 5 attackers for theirs. First and foremost, I don't think it really matters who's got the best 5 attackers because Liverpool don't ever struggle to score goals, right? Yep. Liverpool's front 3, I think, between them last year completely outscored us, right? They do every year. It's not an issue for them. My issue has never been about our ability at this end of the pitch to put the biscuit in the basket. It's never been that. My thing is that if you look at Liverpool now when we go further down the pitch, they're 4 centre-backs in a 4-4-2. Van Dijk, Matip, Kante and Joe Gomez. And then you look at us. After Romero, you go, right, and we play 3 of them, right? And then you look at their midfield options when they've got, like, we haven't got a Thiago Alcantara who can run a game. We've not got a Fabinho. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Henderson, say what you want. Been there, seen it, done it, captain. What do we need to do? Talk to me, Phil. What do we need to do to catch Liverpool? We'll talk about City in a minute, but to catch Liverpool, what have we got to do? I think, and what's the time frame?
I think it's going to be difficult, I think, because they've got 2 of the best coaches, 2 of the best systems, and 2 almost financial institutions, if you like, that are going to back them summer after summer. So for us, it's going to be almost, can we catch them in a low moment? Can we capitalize on that? Can we take advantage of that? So for me, I think it will take at least 2 to 3 years. But like Conte having done now, what would you say, 6 months? Let's say this season is a building year. Next season, I would expect to kind of be a little horse. And then this maybe Conte's, when he's 2.5 years in, that's when I would seriously be expecting to compete for the title. But what do we need? We need to keep a hold of Kane and Son, I think, till then. Kulusevski to develop into a complete world-class player. I think Bentancur, Bissouma, that is a solid double pivot. But one thing I said with Conte, I would love him to have such an abundance of talent that he's able to tweak formations. He's not just so reliant on this 3-5-2. It can become a 3-4-3. It can become a 4-3-3 in certain games when we need to go a little bit more forward. And I feel like signing certain profiles would suit that right. I think the most important thing, though, fixing that defense. And that's our most primary thing that we need to do this summer. If we don't do that, I'm sorry, our defense has been leaky and shaky since the Walker, Toby, Jan, and Rose days. We have never been able to fix it ever since. We've always been plugging gaps, and it's always been subpar people stepping in, whether it's Aurier, Trippier. Remember, those guys were all backups to Walkers, and then they became the first teamer. Rather than sign a first teamer, we always let the backup from behind get promoted, and it's
Davis,
just
Dyer, Zoko, Lucas,
bro. And that's the same cycle now we're going. And I don't want that to happen where it's like the bench guys are still holding their position. No, get that talent where you feel like it's okay. This is going to relegate Højbjerg. This is going to left centre back now. This is stand out the best one at the club. The next level behind him is a drop off. And I would love to, like Liverpool, have 3 or 4 of those, but we're not in that position. So right now, if we've got Romero there, we've got Dyer being decent. Okay, let's get another cornerstone piece where you can now say, all right, that's a solid piece. And I'm not also forgetting that Lloris is on his last legs. That is one thing that is kind of creeping in the background that I think every Spurs fan is forgetting. We've been talking for season on season about, is it time to replace Lloris? And he's had a little bit of an Indian summer this season where he's recovered some. But I'm telling you, it will only take 3 or 4 error-prone games for every Spurs fan to say, where's the long-term replacement? And if you think Fraser Forster's it, I'll worry.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're spot on. I think I've beat that drum for as many years as I can remember of praising these players that were backups in the Poch era. You know, when we had that famous 11, I say famous 11, it didn't win anything, but you know that famous 11 where Davis was a backup, Dyer was a backup, Sanchez was a backup, Trippier, Aurier, Sissoko, Winks, Lucas, all of these players were backups. And in the last 3 years, they've all played so many games for Tottenham Hotspur. But the thing is, Fuad, even to this day, I see fans that if you suggest, like I'm seeing comments, I love reading the comments as they come in. And obviously I can't read them all out, but things like, well, we've got Lucas on the bench. And you're like, why are we not learning? Lucas has been playing on or off the bench for years and has done nothing. Now, love the guy. He got the hat trick that people love to replay on Twitter and Insta, but he's not good enough, right? Royal, Sessegnon, Wink, Sanchez, Rodon, Tanganga. Surely these guys, a club with that many of that ilk can't ever challenge, can it? Can you ever think of a squad with that many poor players that won a league?
No. Honestly, and that's the thing. It's the depth is what gets you through a long season, whether it's through the cups, whether it's through Christmas period, whether it's through when European football comes back in February. It's the squad depth that gets City through. How many times have you seen City where they've had to rely on Zinchenko? They've had to rely on Aki coming in. Gundogan all of a sudden came in and became a player of the season, even though he was on the bench for the 2 years before that. That's what it does. Sterling's off form. Okay, cool. We'll sign Grealish for 100 mil. He can sit on the bench all season. Like, that's what having quality at that level does. It gives you the opportunity to compete. And that's the reason why we haven't been there. And in all honesty, if you look at kind of that season where we had that perfect 11, what killed us that year? The lack of depth. As soon as we started getting injuries, started getting tired, as soon as Kane missed a few games, as soon as the fullbacks missed a few games, we started to fall by the wayside. And it was like, all right, cool. We're never actually going to get there. And we let Leicester get to a title before we did. So it just goes to show you how important depth is. And we lack.
Absolutely, mate. I mean, what are your opinions on this? Right? I've been speaking. I'm on annual leave at the moment, so all I've been doing is talking football on Insta all week. It's only Tuesday, and I'm knackered. I was saying in one of my groups earlier that lots of people are talking about. Okay, well, look, if you look at the average points per game since Conte came in, it was something like 2.1 or 2.0. I don't know. Let the stat people do it, which is great. And people automatically, what they do is they pick that up from there and go, right, well, we're automatically going to do it in this season. Now, I would love to say that. And people go, the Conte effect. What's your opinion on this? Last year, from the moment Conte came in, I think other than his first game, which was beating Vitesse, I think at the Spurs Stadium, someone will tell me if I'm wrong, and then losing to Moura, that was it for him from playing twice a week. We played once a week. This is what I don't think a lot of fans realise. When I'm seeing people going, one centre-back and we can win the league. We're going to be playing, please don't get pedantic in the chat. We're going to be playing Saturday, Wednesday against teams like Bayern Munich, Juventus, that not Middlesbroughs and Moura's and Vitesse Arnhems and Rennes.
You can take the week off and rest the B team, yeah.
Right. And that's my worry, is that I feel like everyone seems to think, lots of people that come onto my show certainly think, oh, we've got an 11. Look at that 11. That can win. But what Man City and Liverpool will be able to do is they'll go, right, okay, this weekend we've got Bournemouth at home. All right. Foden, Haaland, Gundogan, De Bruyne, Stones, Cancelo. You all come here. Right. Diaz, you go in. Mahrez, you play. Grealish. Calvin Phillips, right? Spurs will go, right, Kane, Son, right, okay, Richarlison, you go in. All right, Winks, come on, Winks, you go in. Sanchez, right, you get my point. And this is this something that all our fans conveniently forget, that this isn't a computer game? This isn't 11 players.
100%. And that's the thing, it's a long season. You can't get sucked into thinking that. 100%.
Yeah, it just I just don't understand. Like somebody in the chat just now put one centre back and a few more subs, and we're there.
I'm sorry, you lot have been playing FIFA too long, where you lot think you're in control of the team, and it just takes one or two signings to win a league title. Like Klopp was building that team for 3 or 4 years before he won it. Yeah, right. Pop might have done it over 2 or 3 years, but he got almost $1 billion to spend. Do you know what I mean? Like Conte's come in, where he's trying to change the culture at a club, where he's trying to change the structure, if you like. We've had the director of football for the first time since Damien Comoli, if I'm not mistaken. So it's one of those things where it's like a lot of newness is happening. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. If you lot think we're seriously going to be competing for a title this year, you're in for a sad reality check. And you know what I think might even happen? It's the thing that happened under Jose that first season, where up until December, you know, you're in the mix. You're in that point of City, you know, you got 2 games in hand, and it's like, oh, if we could do a little something in January, and everyone in Sky Sports will be feeding that. You know, we said in the summer that they recruited well, and Spurs should be in the mix. And I'm telling you, man, the season is long, and I always tell people, after February is over, that's when you get a clear picture of where you're going to finish. Don't start predicting that early in the season.
And the World Cup, right? I mean, look, you've got players going to World Cup. I think. Look, I said this to somebody earlier. I think we will come out the traps. I think we'll come out flying. I think we'll be right in and amongst it. But where I think we will start to struggle is if we pick up a couple of key injuries. Now, last year we went for a whole year, I think, without Kane and Son picking up anything significant. I think there was a couple of games here or there, but not like a 3-monther. Next year, with all those games, playing Champions League as well, I feel like it's going to be a real hard slog. But what I want to ask you is this. We'll come back to City and Liverpool in a minute. We'll talk about Chelsea. Now, we didn't end up finishing too far behind Chelsea in the end. And there's different ways to look at this, right? One, that we're really good and that they just suddenly got crap. Or that their club was in absolute turmoil with the takeover, with are fans allowed to go and watch? Are people allowed to buy shirts? Who's going to be here? Who's not? Are they going into liquidation? Blah, blah, blah. I get a lot of fans telling me throughout that we're past them now. We've got third. Third's sewn up. We've got past Chelsea. Am I the only one thinking that, all right, they've lost Rudiger and Christensen? What else has happened at Chelsea that I don't know about again? It's one of these things, again, that I've not seen it, that suddenly we're better than them. What's happened?
I think people are preempting that Roman Abramovich is not there. So therefore, they're not going to kind of operate in the same manner that they did before. But from what I'm seeing, they're still linked with a lot of big names. They're still spending money on Sterling. They were still in for Rafinha. So they're still spending money. But I think people are thinking that because Ted Bowley's come in now, Tuchel might not be his guy. The team might stagnate and it all might go a bit backwards. It's almost wishful thinking, I'll be honest with you. Sure. But in reality, Tuchel's still there and Tuchel's an elite manager. I think Ted Bowley's come in. He wants to have his fingerprints and saying, look, I haven't come here to joke around. I want to spend money in this team.
Right.
You can't sleep on them. And I'm sorry, Chelsea, as an institution, I've got to respect them. Since Abramovich has come on, the one thing they guarantee is winning. Even in their worst years, they're pulling out Champions Leagues. They'll squeeze out an FA Cup. They'll squeeze out a Europa League. Some way, somehow, Chelsea finished with silverware. This is the first year where they didn't, and they still got to 2 finals and got a Super Cup. So it's me. I don't think you can ever rest your laurels on Chelsea. No matter how bad it gets, I always look at them with one eye. Arsenal is a different situation. They've been steadily crumbling for over a decade, you could say. So that kind of switch of powers, maybe you could see it coming. Chelsea, I'm sorry, they don't go from European champions 2 years ago to flick of the switch because we've got Perisic and Richarlison. We're better than them. It don't work like that.
Well, I mean, look, it doesn't. And two things. I mean, first of all, I'm seeing people in the chat going, "Oh, we're a lot closer than we were this time last year." But none of them can answer the squad thing for me. None of them can tell me what happens when we pick up 3 injuries. And I showed everyone our bench. I showed you 10 or 11 players that included Winks, White, Skip, Scarlett, Parrott, Royal, Sessegnon, Sanchez, Rode. I mean, I don't understand what people are not getting about that. Look, the key thing for me is, I mean, even today we're seeing, I'm sure you've seen the news, that Koulibaly going to Chelsea. I mean, isn't that the difference? That Chelsea will go out and go, 31-year-old world-class centre-half, bang, let's go and get him. Spurs have had how many weeks already to go and get a centre-half? And the thing is, they'll also get Ake. They've signed Sterling's going to complete. They're talking about Gnabry as well. Isn't it just a different level of players that are being signed and not necessarily at different level prices? What's going on there?
It's the speed it's being done in as well. You think of how long it's taken us to get Jed Spence, a championship player, over the line.
It's embarrassing.
And this is what I'm saying. This is how top clubs kind of operate. It's like no nonsense. They know what their deficiencies are. We're going for that target. If that doesn't work, we've got A, B, and C lined up. If Koulibaly doesn't work out, they've got Ake lined up. If Koulibaly, they want to upgrade, De Ligt is there. Like, big clubs operate like this. And each signing, you look at it, is an improvement on what they would have currently had. Maybe Ake, not so much, but I still think those would be 3 good signings coming into Chelsea's team. But it's just different levels of operation. And I think, though, you do get that luxury and benefit when you have won and done as much as Chelsea have done. We're all in that club that's almost on the outside trying to break in. So I get that sometimes we have more point to prove to a player. But this is why I always say in the market, you've got to move early and you've got to move smart. I think our club should even be operating when the window's closed in trying to tap up some of these players and say, look, get over here early, quickly. I remember screaming about Ryan Gravenberch about 3 years ago on Twitter. And I remember people looked at me like, who the hell is this random Dutch kid you're shouting about? Now he's one of the best Dutch central midfielders signing for Bayern. And I'm just like, if you're smart and you can prepare these things, that's what big clubs do. And do you know what the worst thing Chelsea will do? Chelsea will go for those big name targets and they might sign another 2 wonder kids just for the academy as well. Loan them out for 5 or 6 years, see what they develop into. These clubs operate on a whole nother level where they're bringing
XOGX1. I don't think I've moaned. I think what I've done is I've pointed out obvious happenings at the club and how we run. And I think you've taken it as a moan because you clearly believe we are going to win a league or something. Let me get your opinion on this. Just before I do, we are 5 likes away from the 100. Please keep hitting the like button. Can I ask, there are 215 of you in the chat. If any of you haven't, please go and subscribe. It does help and it is free. I'm currently on 1261. I want to get that up as quickly as possible. And once I get to the 1500 mark, we are giving away 2 tickets to every single home game at Tottenham next season. If that's not generous, I don't know what is. You wouldn't catch Levy doing that. Good. Let me get your opinion on this then. Perisic and Sessegnon. It looks like Reggie's going to go, and we can talk about him in a minute. But are there concerns on your part that one little injury to Perisic, playing all of those games, and we are left with Ryan Sessegnon in a Champions League campaign? What are your thoughts on Sessegnon, and does that worry you?
For me, I was quite shocked when we gave Sessegnon a renewal this summer, because I remember when we signed him, I think 2 or 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, we were linked with Kieran Tierney that same summer. And I remember I said, we should go for Tierney because I feel like he was the more ready-made, proven product at that time. Celtic captain, played in Champions League. He'd gone off to Arsenal. Similar case with Tomiyasu and Emerson as well this summer, last summer actually. But I thought Sessegnon was always going to come in and be a project. Eventually, he would maybe become a left winger, but I never really saw him as that true made left back. I thought maybe he could go through the kind of Danny Rose transition where he goes away on loan, which he did to Hoffenheim. I don't think it was a great loan on our behalf to kind of send him to a club where he's not really guaranteed minutes. He's not really going to develop at that level. And then when he came back last season, he had opportunities, I felt like, to make that left wing back position his own. Didn't really excel the way I would. And the thing is, I've always said, when it comes to top youngsters, you can see them when you watch them straight away. You can see your talent ID. You should not be able to. It shouldn't take you a whole season to know if a player is good or not, in my eyes. And I look at Sessegnon and I'm like, I don't exactly know what his standout attribute is. It's okay, he's quick, but outside of it, can he beat a man 1v1? Can he defend a man 1v1? Does he have a good end product? Is he strong in the tackle? I don't know. I don't know what he kind of offers, in my opinion. So for me, it's all right. We've given him a renewal and a new lease of life, but there's no guarantee of an upside. So I would have personally offloaded him and kept Reguilon as a backup, because I think if you have Perisic, who's the senior, experienced winner, showing you how it's done, and then you've got Reguilon, who has underwhelmed a little bit, but can learn from Perisic and go up that next level. I still think I would have preferred that rather than keeping Sessegnon, in my eyes, who is still a gamble project. And we're about to sign Jed Spence, who I said I feel like is just going to be another one of that.
So let's talk Jed Spence then. I mean, this is, and by the way, anybody who's tuned in just to see Tobes' beautiful face, he is stuck at an event, so it will just be me and Fuad, I'm afraid. So sorry if we lose anyone based off of that. Keep hitting the like button, and remember that any super chats go to British Heart Foundation. Talk to me about Jed Spence, because for me, I'm hearing, well, this is the player that Conte wants. If this is a player that Conte wants, my first question to you is why? And my second question to you is, how is it taking this long to get him over the line? It's embarrassing now, right?
Honestly, and for me, I don't know whether we're off with the valuation on what we value him, or if Middlesbrough are actually trying to price him out. From what I'm hearing, it's sell-on fees and all these additional clauses seem to be the stumbling block, but it shouldn't take this long in my eyes. If we're talking about we're a club with, we've given Conte 150 million influx, mate, chuck the extra 5 million, just get it over the line in my eyes. If this is what we're saying is Conte's guy, then it shouldn't be taking this long in my opinion. I personally don't think this is a Conte signing. I really look at this and think this is a Levy signing. I think Levy looks at this and thinks this is the classic, I did this with Dele Alli. Maybe I could do this again, where I pluck a little British gem, kind of bring him to Spurs, and I kind of build him and take the credit for it. I don't think it's a Conte really type signing, in my opinion. I think Conte, if he comes in, will try to use him, but I think Conte would much prefer a ready, proven player rather than someone who's stepping up a division and going to have to kind of adapt to that, in my opinion. Because if I'm not mistaken, was he not playing in a back four as well at Nottingham Forest? So system-wise, he would have to be adapting as well. So it's a lot for Jed Spence to take on. My thing is I just hope if he comes, people don't expect too much too soon. Because for me personally, I won't be expecting a lot.
Again, I mean, just before we continue with Spence, lots of comments in the chat about Ake not being better than Dyer or Davis. I'm sorry. I know who I'm having in my team. It's not going to be Ake or Dyer Dyer or Davis over Ake. But yeah, Jed Spence, the problem is, you know what's going to happen. He will sign. If he starts slowly, the excuse is, well, he's young. Give him time. But the whole point is that I thought we were getting Champions League football, the stadium, Conte, so that wasn't our ethos anymore. You know, and the big thing for me, Fuad, is anyone who's watched Conte teams for years knows that those two positions, the right wing back and the left wing back, are everything. Pivot. And we saw it last year. How many times the wing back, Sessegnon or Royal, got the ball and the move breaks down because they've not got that ability. And Spence, look, again, I don't want to turn into a stat man. I hate it. But Jed Spence has played something like 110 professional games in his career and got 4 assists. And we're asking him to come into a team that is going to get top 4, win a cup, Champions League, and start providing all of these assists. Why? Why is that going to happen?
It's not. It's not, and then once again, it's wishful thinking. It's that kind of hope that he'll be a developmental player to come in and, I don't know, people think he'll just come and take this breath of fresh air and come in. I don't think it will be like that. I think it will be a grim reality check for him where it's kind of like, oh, this is a different level. This is a different club. This is a new role. I've got to adjust my game type of thing. And in all honesty, I haven't seen too much of him, but a lot of people seem to say that his end product isn't great as well. So I'm thinking, so then are we just replacing Emerson with a British Emerson then, if that's the case? If he's just an engine who gets up and down, who's good in the tackle, we've already got that at the club. This is what I'm saying. Why, and what you hit on there is so key as well. The wing backs being almost a creative spark in a formation like this, because the two central midfielders are workhorses. They're there to do up in the dirty work, and if they can create, it's a bonus. The front three last year, it was almost, if they don't turn up, we're finished. Kane, Son, and Kulusevski had to turn up every single game. But those wing backs need to be the creative outlet. They need to be the outlet ball. They need to be the assist makers. They need to be the chance makers for those front guys. And if we don't have that, I'm sorry. I can't, as you read those numbers out yourself, 4 assists, that doesn't fill me with much promise that this kid is going to come in and light up that right-hand side, in my opinion.
Yeah, listen, I agree. Just quickly, so thank you so much for all the comments. There's so many. I can't get to them all. Truth be told, has said, what if De Bruyne, Haaland and Foden got injured at once? Be realistic. Cool. My answer is simple. Then they just chuck in Silva, Alvarez and Mahrez. Done. I mean, the squad is there. Let's stop pretending these two teams don't have amazing squads. This is the big thing for me. I'm going to go back to it again. It's that those two positions are so key. Now, when I can come on here and I cry out for top players, right? And I get told, oh, you're unrealistic. Then when I say I don't think we're good enough, I get told I'm negative. I'm not quite sure how I'm meant to be anymore as a Spurs fan, because you're not allowed to want better. I keep screaming out for a Maddison, a Paqueta, somebody in that ilk that can get on the ball, scores, assists, and somebody that wants the ball, right? Give me the ball, I'll go and create. But then I'm told by fans, no. That's not how Conte plays. Cool. But then I'm told that Jed Spence is the answer to our right wing-back problems, which is where the creativity comes from. I struggle to understand as a fan, how are we defending all of this? I don't understand it. Either you go and get a top-class right wing-back or you get a playmaker. Surely you can't do neither, can you?
And that would be the worst thing ever, because then you've just got absolutely no creativity in that team. As I said, the wing-back positions are the creative outlets in the system. But the thing I think you hit on there as well, that number 10/8 player who can kind of create and unlock something from midfield, we don't have that profile right now. The only one we have is Ndombele, and he's being told that he needs to get out of the club. For me, that is kind of when we can't break down the low block and you need a creative spark to open up the game, that little bit of X factor, that's where you can tweak the system. And I'm saying I want Conte to be able to be flexible. That's where that number 10, number 8 player comes in. Someone like a Paqueta, someone like a Fekir. Madison's a good example as well. But that type of profile, honestly, I don't know if we will get that, a left centre back and a right wing back. I don't think we'll address all 3 this summer. I think 2 for sure. And for me, in all honesty, I think that creative kind of midfield position, you're going to kill me because I'm saying it's another return, but Eriksen on a free would have been perfect for that. I feel like, would he have been a squad option? Maybe not. He wouldn't have accepted a squad role. But for me, I think someone to just come in and be that extra midfield creative spot. He could even play out wide if need be. Let's forget once upon a time he used to play there for us. But I think the right wing back and left centre back will definitely take priority. But I do agree that creative midfielder in midfield is so needed, because you can't just rely on Benzema and Bentancur.
Absolutely. This is the key thing for me. And first of all, before I go into that, just want to say, Payson Pounce, thank you very much for your super chat. He has said that Seville signed a dozen players the season they won the Europa League. Frankfurt did it too and won it well. Buying in bulk definitely works. I mean, look, I think it can work if it's done properly. Second of all, somebody in the chat who said that I said Ake was better than Romero. That never came out of my mouth, so please don't tell lies. That's not what I said. Third of all, I just can't help but think Eriksen for me would have been perfect from the point of view that not only can he unlock doors, but he can also drop deep and work in deeper areas, picking up the ball from the defenders and the midfielders and moving forward. Is there anyone other than an Eriksen that you would like to see, seen as obviously that's going to happen to be a Man United signing now? But of all the threes, that would have been my three. That would have been a signing where you go, yeah, that makes complete sense.
100%.
But is there anyone else?
For me, the other one I think who has been forever linked with a move away, but it never seems to happen. I think perfect profile, Milinkovic-Savage. I think if you're serious about saying you want to back Conte and give him money and give him a player that is all action, can play one as one of the two, but then two can be that creative spark in that number 10 role, can get you goals, can get you assists, because we haven't had a contributor from midfield since Eriksen, since Dele Alli's years, 5 years ago, even though he's been at the club since last season. But it's just that extra player. And I think Milinkovic-Savage is almost like a marquee signing, if you like, if we were to get him in. But that would be the kind of profile I think you look for sure, 100%.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. Look, I mean, some of the players I've had on I say my list, I don't work for Spurs, would have been like a Paqueta, an Eriksen, a Milinkovic-Savage, a James Maddison, just someone with that little spark. They don't have to play week in, week out. But in games where the width doesn't work, I still worry that Kane is the only one in our squad, right? I'm not mixing my words here, capable of dropping in and finding that pass. That's my concern. An injury to Kane, we have got no one. And then all of a sudden, I think low block is the phrase. I just call it teams that defend well. Teams that defend well, we struggle to get that intricate pass that goes in behind. Is it fair to say about Kane?
No, and Kane has been pretty much our entire offensive system for the past 2 seasons, I would say, since Jose was here, where he's a creative outlet. Him dropping deep has almost allowed us to get away with not buying a number 10, not having that creative spark, because he's been able to link the midfield to attack in essence. And even Son's game has kind of taken on a different level, where before he was kind of more of a winger who wanted to take his man on and come inside. Now he's kind of more sitting on the last shoulder, just waiting for Kane to kind of ping a pass around the corner type of thing. So it's allowed us to get away with so much. But the one benefit we have had over the last few years is Kane has been injury free. He's now approaching 30. Can he still keep that fitness? Previously, he had an awful injury record where pretty much every season he'd miss a month out in December or something. So if that does rear its head again, is Richarlison enough to step in? I don't think so. And now it's like you need Richarlison and that creative midfielder to kind of bring the same kind of effort you was getting from Kane. So you're not wrong there. 100% it would be a massive loss. And that's why you kind of need that depth and strength and depth, sorry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just quickly, so I do a lot of streams with Will Stewart, THFC Rants, wonderful head, wonderful beard, wonderful man. He has said, Savva, I've been told the last few days that we need top players to win things so that we can sign top players. I've also been told top players won't come because Conte is leaving. Thoughts? Now, Fuad, let's discuss this, because I tell you what makes me laugh, right? I'll go back to something I said earlier. We have got the best stadium in the world. And I don't care about stadiums, but we have. We have got arguably, pound for pound, one of the best managers in the world. We've got arguably the best strike force in the world with Kane and Son. We've got an amazing training ground. We're in Champions League. Yeah. Why am I being told we can't attract top players? Now, just last bit to tag on. I'm not talking Mbappe's. I'm not talking Haaland's. But why all of a sudden am I being told we can't attract Koulibaly's? We can't attract James Maddison's, Milinkovic-Savage's? I don't understand it. Why did we do all this if we can't attract them?
It doesn't make sense. And in my eyes, those should be the kind of targets that we're saying come in and improve your first team. Those are the kind of signings that push your Højbjergs, that push your Reguilons, that push your Dyers to the bench and make them compete for their positions, in all honesty. That's where I feel like we've missed a trick with our scouting and our recruitment for years. We've always tried to find these kind of gems in Europe that are, okay, we can kind of maybe build them up. Okay, we can maybe sign a young British talent and maybe we can build them up. No, go and get ready-made players. And as you said, now more than ever, you have put yourself in the prime position to have that. The stadium, the finances, the director, the manager. You've got it all. You've even got Champions League football and 6 months worth of effort to say, hey, look, this is why you should come and join this project. So for me, I don't want to hear this, oh, we're not attainable, or players aren't attainable, or we don't seem an attractive prospect. Nah, players want to play for now. And right now we're in Champions League football. We've got Conte. I don't think many players are looking past the season and thinking, oh, is Conte going to re-sign? No. If you sign and this goes well this season, guess what? Conte is going to renew and you're still going to be here. So for me, it's honestly bullshit when I hear that.
Absolutely. Guys, just so you know, we're going to be streaming for another 12 minutes. I will stay on until 30:30. Fuad is going to jump off at 15:15. Any questions you got for Fuad, get them in now. Keep smashing that like button. Let's try and get to 150. We're on 120 at the moment. Keep subscribing if you haven't. And just remember, any super chats do go to charity. This is the thing, right? I keep hearing fans say, oh, well, we didn't get Bastoni, so let's just get a few cheap centre-backs and then we can get Bastoni next year when he's gettable. Now, my answer to that is, what happens this time next year, Fuad, if we don't make top four, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying we won't. Before anyone in the chat has a go at me, my job is to ask questions, right? If we don't make top four, all of this for me would have been for nothing, because all of a sudden then I feel we would have completely missed our chance to buy top players. So at what point is it acceptable for us to say top players now rather than, oh, we haven't got the pool, we can't compete? Why can't we compete? We are rich.
This is why big clubs do not plan for 2-3 seasons down the line. Liverpool, Chelsea, and all these teams that want to compete to win, they don't sign a player in the hopes of, oh, he'll improve us in 3 years' time. No, they sign players for the here and now to improve them. And I feel like we're not doing that in a sense. Yeah, we've said we brought 5 signings in, but only 2 of them improved the first team. So for me, I still feel like there's a lot of work to be done, but I don't know. It's top 4 if we don't make that next season. Massive problem, because now you're not attractive. Now Conte is in possibility going to walk away. Let's say he doesn't want to. Then it's like you don't have the European allure, you don't have the manager, and it's all the way back to square one, starting and selling a new project. All of a sudden, Kane's contract renewal talks are going to come rear its head again. Yeah. It's a slippery slope, which is why I feel like we have Conte now, we have the money now, we have Champions League football now. Take advantage of it. And don't get me wrong, even if there's players that we don't get in the summer, don't forget there's January. January is another window. We've seen how this January alone turned our entire season around with the signings of Kulusevski and Bentancur. They improved us massively, I thought. And that definitely helped towards us that top 4 push. Now it's, can we do those same thing with this window now? As I said, there's still almost 2 months to go. So we're still very early in the window. Good business done.
It's all caveats, right? It's all...
Yeah. But for me, it's just all gone a little bit quiet on the centre-back talk since we signed Lenglet. I really haven't heard any other centre-backs link. Creative midfielders has been sparse. And trust me, today I was trying to dig for any creative midfielders. Couldn't find nothing. And Jed Spence was struggling to get over the line. And outside of him, the only other names I've really heard is Kyle Walker-Peters' return. So it's not exactly filling you with the most kind of, we're really onto
and the fact that they're now in Korea, right, about to start playing friendlies, right? Because that's when you get to learn the Conte system, right? Just quickly, I just want to say, Yusna, thank you. You're always in the chat. We don't agree on things, but you're always respectful, so that's cool. Listen, yes, Son, Kane, Perisic, Richarlison, Kulu can all create. I think the point we're coming from is not from out wide. We're talking about, can somebody sit in that hole and pick the lock? Somebody that's natural game is to come into the midfield and pick up the ball. H has said Savage has only done it in Italy. I mean, I'm sorry, if anyone's seen MilinkovicSavage play, they will not be finding any reason to say no to that man. When we say he's only done it in Italy, again, it's a league that's getting stronger year on year. It's had its dip. It's getting stronger. It's getting stronger. So let's not belittle other leagues. Fuad, obviously, I know you're going to go in about 6-7 minutes. Before you go, talk to me then about what's the bare minimum for you of a season. I mean, I'm talking about the bare minimum that you go, okay, that was all right.
Top four. Okay. Top four, in all honesty, is the bare minimum. Like, I don't want any talks of Europa League, especially considering how we performed in the second half of last season. Okay, now you've had a whole summer. We've had a whole summer of being told that we've got the finances. I don't expect the standard to drop below that. And I understand teams around us will improve, but that's up to us to where we're saying now we are in the prime position. We've put ourselves in this position to be able to capitalize and catapult to that next step. We don't catapult ourselves to that next step, that will be on us. So for me, top four is the bare minimum. As I said, the ideal scenario, third and a cup or two, fantastic. Fourth, the bare minimum in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key thing for me is that I want to see silverware. At some point, we have to win a trophy, right? This club has been 15 years, football, it'll be 15 years next summer without. But from a point of view of not losing, I say not losing Conte, but the point of view of not losing any traction, it's got to be top four, right? Are there any teams coming up behind us? Let forget City, Chelsea, and let's just assume City, Chelsea, and Liverpool are going to be in there, right? And is there anyone behind us? West Ham, Arsenal, Leicester, Villa. Is there anyone that you look at and go, Man United, that could?
United, I don't think we should sleep on under Ten Hag. Even though today was a pre-season and people say, oh, it's only a friendly 4-0. I was like, listen, that's still a Liverpool team and you still got to turn up. And I think he could maybe get something out of them. They still haven't made any signings, so we still don't know what they've got to bring in. Don't sleep on them. I think Arsenal ran us close this year. And I think Arsenal, in all honesty, I was surprised they dropped out of that top four spot because all season I was like, it's pretty much theirs to lose. And they threw it away. But they're ones that I definitely think will be in the race as well. Having got Jesus now, it'll be interesting as well because that Brazil number 9 shirt belongs to Richarlison, but he's just signed for Tottenham to come and sit on the bench. And then Jesus has now gone to the other side of North London. And if he bags his goals in a World Cup year, that'll be interesting to see. But yeah.
So there's
Arsenal United, I would say Arsenal United. And do you know one sleeper team? Crystal Palace. They're making some interesting moves this summer. And I'm looking at their squad. I'm thinking, could Vieira maybe pinch 7th or something like that? I don't know. Maybe not Champions League spots, but they'll be an interesting one to watch for sure.
Okay. David Clark has said Spurs or Chelsea. Spurs 1-0. Chelsea league titles, Champions League winners. And you say we can compete with Chelsea. I think you have to look at it realistically. If Chelsea can go and get a Koulibaly for 45 million or a Sterling for 45 million, why can't we? Because the very same fans that will tell me this will tell me that we've got the best manager in the world. Yeah, they will tell me we've got the best stadium in the world. Honestly, mate, I don't get it. I don't understand why we've done all this just for fans to turn around and say that we can't compete. I don't think this is the Chelsea anymore of years gone by. I think they're always going to be able to compete, but I don't feel like Chelsea and City, they both sell a lot of players now. As well as buying, they sell a lot of players. So, David Clark, tell me why. Is there a reason why we couldn't get Koulibaly above Chelsea, Fuad?
I think Chelsea will always have that kind of prestige allure of almost you're guaranteed to kind of challenge for silverware there and possibly a bigger financial package. Right. Outside of that, I think you could compete with them. Maybe not on every transfer, I would say, but I think there are definitely some transfers where you could go toe-to-toe with them. Koulibaly, I think, is definitely one. Sterling, maybe not. I think Sterling would kind of look at us as if to say, I could probably do better than Tottenham, and Chelsea would kind of be that kind of step up for him, if you like. I think Koulibaly is kind of looking at more, I'd probably just love to play in the Premier League, and I think Conte is an Italian manager who'd probably understand me a little bit better, and that would probably be why we could probably compete for Koulibaly. It'd be target to target. It would range.
We've got you for 90 more seconds, so I wouldn't want you to go without feeling offended. So H has said, again, Fuad, you are talking nonsense. Liverpool have signed 2 young players this season.
I love that. And he's basically saying that Liverpool don't... it was relating to when I said Liverpool don't sign youngsters, basically. And I'm sorry, but they also signed Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez straight for the first team. So that counters that completely. Like, this is what I said big clubs do as well. They sign for the first team, ready-made players, but then they just sign a bunch of youngsters and say, oh, if you want to go to Blackburn on loan for a season, that's fine. Oh, yeah, Carvalho, yeah, come and sit on our bench. Like, we would sign Carvalho and probably dive him into the first team straight away. Like, it's levels and brackets. This is what I'm saying we're operating at. Liverpool are just collecting stones. For us, that would be like, oh, my God. All right, can we get Carvalho now in Kulusevski's role? It's different levels, man.
Of course it is, especially and when you've got the squads those two have got, you can bring in younger players, right? But it's different. And this is what I don't feel like. Again, Conte's system doesn't rely on number 10. I feel like the conversation's gone right over David Clark's head. The point we were making is if you're not going to buy a right wing back that does do that creative job, and we've not got the number 10, where's it coming from? But look, Fuad, I know you need to go. So listen, thank you so much. I've really, really enjoyed it. I love your opinions. It's nice. It's nice to know I'm not the only one that's got these concerns about Tottenham.
No, it's been good, man. It's been a long as well. So we'll do this again definitely soon. Definitely.
Listen, thanks very much for your time, everybody. I'm going to still go 15 minutes. Fuad, feel free to jump off. Thank you so much for your time.
Nice one, man. Take care.
Cheers, brother. Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Okay, so whilst Fuad has left, I will go for another 15 minutes. So if anyone's got any subjects that they wanted to discuss, my question to you would be this. It's been a bit sparse, hasn't it, in terms of us being linked with players. At the same time, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I think a lot of the ITKs tend to not know a lot, even though a lot of people believe them. But does anyone believe that there's maybe a smokescreen going on with Spence? Is there a better player coming in behind? Or are we literally going to get Jed Spence and our fan base are going to go crazy over a kid who's never achieved anything and never played at the top level? Tell me what you guys think. Keep smashing the like button as well. And let me take this moment to shamelessly plug. Tomorrow night, myself and Henry Wright will be starting our new show, which is called Savva and Wright Live Tonight. And it will be focusing on all of the Premier League and Champions League football. So this is going to be a show throughout the season, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. It will, bear with me, bless me. It's going to coincide with when the Champions League game finishes every Wednesday. We will be talking about every club. Just gives us a chance to talk about things that aren't Spurs as well as Spurs. So please feel free to come and join us tomorrow. Show some support, even if you can only watch for a few minutes. That would be much appreciated. Let's have a look. What has people been saying? Justin has said, I pray, but we have been saying Spence is a smokescreen for like 4 weeks. Yes, that is my worry as well. By the way, can I please get 18 more likes in the next 10 minutes to get to 150? That would be absolutely lovely. And if I can get a few more subscribers, that would be lovely as well. It does take a lot of effort to get all of this done, as any YouTuber will tell you. Kevin has said Spence will not be first choice. Kevin, can I ask why not? Is that because you think somebody that's already here will be, or somebody else? N17 Spurs thinks it's a smokescreen and he's shouting that at me. XOGX Low 1 has said, I think Spence and one other right wing back. Alejandro said, do I believe it's a smokescreen? No, but I bloody well hope it is. I think I speak for all of us when I say amen. Maybe I don't speak for all of us, because some people seem to really want him. Peter Simon said, who officially said we want Spence? I mean, it's being reported. Well, I say that. It was reported today by Dharmesh Sheffield Sky that deal is being talked about, and they're stuck on some of the smaller details within the contract. I think everyone knows that, Peter. I think you're being flippant, sir. Saya said, just like Conte said, we're at the start of the project. That's all well and good, but is that the same? Do Kane and Son feel that way? Do top players stick around for yet another project? I've supported Spurs for nearly 40 years, and I just feel like I'm constantly living in a project. Paul 2310. Paul is the man. He does all my thumbnails. He has said, I genuinely don't even see us getting Spence. Another Traore saga like January. Interesting. Lee from the Lane. Hello, sir. Oh no, I'm not going to read that out. That's what I call chat beef. That's nothing to do with me. Can I please ask, in the next 5 minutes, can I get 6 more subscribers to get me to the 1,270 mark? Come on, who's going to be friendly and do that? And if anyone would like one final super chat, please let me know. Spursy said, I'd like to think we have a top right wing back, centre back, and creative midfielder to come. I would like to think the same. I just do not trust our owners. I'm so sorry. Football Ferreira, hello, brother. How are you? Are you well? I'll chat to you after this on Insta. He has said, I told you who you should get. Like the left back, you should get Piero Hincapié. I like what I've seen of Hincapié, so I would not be against him coming. He looks like he's definitely got something about him. Young, but looks very mature for his age. Yusna said, Liverpool play out wide. Their creativity comes from wide players and fullbacks. No need for a scene. Yes, but that's the way Liverpool play. And the difference is how many assists do Alexander-Arnold and Robertson get in a season compared to, at the moment, we've got players like Royal and we're talking about Spence. That's the difference, okay? So we're not saying we have to get a playmaker. What we were saying is if we don't have a playmaker and we've got players like Royal and Spence, where's that creativity coming from? Or are we just hoping that all of that is going to be based on Perisic? Because that's a dangerous game to play. H has said, Savva, 2 Vs. Come on, man. My name's got 2 Vs. It's written in my name. It's written on my logo, on the little blue bar. Come on, man. Has said Paqueta will be the signing that would take us one step closer to challenge. Obviously, we still need a couple more. I think it needs a lot more than Paqueta, but I do think Paqueta is a very good player with good physique. In equal measures, I believe he's got very good skill and control. Keep the subscribing coming on. I am 2 away from the 1,270 mark. Please, the quicker I get to 1,500, the quicker I will give away the first 2 tickets for Tottenham versus Southampton. 2 tickets. And if that's not good enough, you'll be sitting next to me and Henry Wright. So you can tell me my opinions are bad in person. Football said, full ball. I'm about to watch Stranger Things, the ending, by the way. Been meaning to get to it. He said, Spence is Tomiyasu 2.0, 100% a smokescreen from the club. Told me that we'll get Molina. Someone from the club told me we'll get Molina instead. Okay. I would love Molina. I think Molina is a brilliant player. So that is who I would desperately like over somebody like over Jed Spence. 1 away from the subscribers. Please keep going. And we are 4 away from 150 likes. And people keep asking me after the shows, why do all YouTubers ask for likes? What it is algorithms. The more likes that we get, the further it spreads on YouTube. And just because people seem to think it's really easy to do a YouTube channel, we have to pay subscriptions. We have to pay for microphones. We have to pay for lighting. We have to pay for a lot of things, right? And it takes a lot of time. So it is much appreciated. That's all I can say. It's free to like and subscribe. 1 away still from the 1,270 mark. Let me ask you another question then. Yusna, calm down. No one said Liverpool have got an attacking midfielder. They have got fullbacks that can cross brilliantly and assist. I don't think you're understanding that. Plus, they have got Thiago Alcantara, who sits as a deep line playmaker and just starts everything off. I'm not sure why that's not clear. And hang on. Grant Davidson has said that. They have Thiago who picks passes for fun. We don't have a player like that. Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys, for all the likes. I'll keep going for 7 more minutes. Yusna, now I know that you are a troll. How can anyone think Thiago Alcantara is overrated? Here's my question to you. Everybody, is Thiago Alcantara overrated? I think he's one of the best midfielders in world football. How on earth is he overrated? Somebody tell me why. Tell me. Will, who are you talking about? Who is not close to Son's ability? I shouldn't get involved. Thank you very much. Oh, hang on. We've got a super chat. I've got a super chat. I'm going to find that. PSS 19870. Big up to you. I've seen you in Henry's chat. I've not seen you in my before, but welcome. You are always welcome. And please feel free, my friend, to come and join myself and Henry tomorrow night. Our brand new show, Savva and Right, live tonight, talking about all of the Premier League, what's going to happen next season, and Champions League. That will be every Wednesday at 10 p.m. Crimson Cad 3 has said, hey, Savva, I think we need another summer transfer window to get world-class players at every position, just like Klopp did. They didn't sign Van Dijk, Alisson, Diaz, Salah in one window. Look, I don't even think it needs to be world-class players in every position, but I agree with the sentiment. I think it takes time, and a lot of Spurs fans seem to think that it's going to happen overnight. And fair play to them. They're more optimistic than me, but I just don't think it's reality. Where are we? Loads of comments. I will try and get through as many of them as I can. Yes, absolutely, Stuart. We do have to pay for electricity, which is not cheap. Alan Sibley has said, Sub-Savva, thank you. Spursy has said, you need to shell out more. Well, Spursy, I actually bought myself a new webcam today and some new lighting. So that will be in effect tomorrow night if I can make it work. We are now creeping up to the 1,275 mark. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Also, I am one of these people. If you tell me what you want to see from a show, subjects, topics, tell me. Message me on YouTube. Find me on Instagram, Savva Talks Spurs. I will take that on board and we can run with that. Again, such bad opinions. We have sorry, I shouldn't say that, I know, but we have Basuma now that's better than Thiago. He just isn't in any way, shape, or form. He isn't. Thiago is so much fun to watch. What a play. He's just amazing. H, thank you very much. I appreciate your subscription. It is good. Sorry. Hey, Savva, you've been ignoring my question. It wasn't on purpose. It appeared twice, and at the same time, you started asking for likes and subscribers. Come on. Sorry. What have I answered it now? If not, put it back in. I'll answer it. There are a lot of comments, so I do apologize, and I'm trying. I think I'm one of the only YouTubers that tries to read out everyone's comments, so give me a little bit of a break, right? Slightly overhyped, still class. Okay. I think, when you've played for Liverpool, Bayern Munich and Barcelona and the Spanish national team, you are some sort of player, but cool. Hey, Savva, I think we need another summer chance. Yes, we just did this. Yeah, we've just done that. Football Ferreira. Thiago's pure class. Injury problems always had during his career, but what a player. I agree. Fantastic footballer. The type of player I think Spurs desperately need. I think Basuma will become a beast. I agree with you. I'm not doubting that at all. Noah. Hello, Noah. Welcome to you. Good evening, sir. He said, Savva, mate, question. Can Conte make Richarlison world-class? World-class, man, because Conte has made some world-class players. Can he make them world-class? I don't know. That's not just down to Conte, is it? I would assume that's down to the player himself. Has he got the ability to be world-class? I'm not sure. I think he's a good player. I think world-class is thrown around now as though it's penny sweets. I think everyone talks about wanting everyone to be world-class when they're simply not. But no, I don't think he will be. Amin OV, welcome to the stream, and said, I think we need a world-class centre-back, a central attacking midfielder, and a right wing-back. We have quality players. Players need to show up their real character in the field. I agree. This season is going to show that, right? It's going to show everyone turning up, everyone giving their best. Keep smashing that like button, people. We are on 159 likes. I really, really appreciate it. I will keep going for another half hour, but only if people want me to. Let me know if you want me to. If not, I won't. Thiago isn't one of the best in the world, but he's a very good player. Okay, THFC 14. Name me 4 players in Thiago's position better than him at running a midfield. I would say Rodri, Modric, You let me know. You let me know. I'm sorry. I think he's absolutely class. Yusna, I feel like you're really willing players to be something they're not. I like Basuma, but I wouldn't say that the first thing anyone attributes to Basuma is creativity. Question from Matt Barden. Hello, Matt. Good evening to you. He said, what do you think about the Croatian versatile attacking midfielder Mario Pasalic at Atalanta? He was never given the chance at Chelsea, but I've seen this guy play a few times. I really enjoy watching Atalanta. I think they play a good brand of football on a real shoestring budget. And I'd definitely take a few of their players, and he is one of them that I would take. So, yes, I really like him, mate. I think he's good. Yes, Football Forever, please. You keep telling them it is free. I never understand why people are so against it. As I said yesterday, I looked at my stats, my YouTube stats, and it showed me that 50% of my viewers watch for over an hour at a time, but don't subscribe. And I just feel like if they don't like it, surely they turn it off. But hey ho, it is what it is. Saya has shouted at me that Molina already has chemistry with Romero at the right side of Argentina. I think Molina is a no-brainer for me. Let's have a look. Grant said to Yus, go look at Basuma's assist then, and second assist in the final third. You'll be surprised. He isn't a creative player. No, he's not at all. That's not his game. That's not why we bought him, right? Box to box, I think he's a brilliant midfielder. I think he's a brilliant player, but he's not creative. Got to go. So have a great show as always, Paul. Thank you, mate. I'll speak to you later on WhatsApp. Hope you're well. Alejandro, a second a light show. We'll try and get a light show going for you tomorrow night, like the Spurs Stadium. I think the closest I could get to a light show would be this. Does that count? Is that a light show? Taking players on Basuma is better and defensively. I feel like we're watching a different player. Reece Billen has said, I don't think it's a smoke screen, but I do think we'll get another right wing back if we manage to sell Emerson. I really hope so. Who's Thiago? We're talking about Thiago Alcantara of Liverpool. Josh has just said, nice one, Savva. Thank you. I'm going to go for another 2 minutes, I think. Another 2 minutes. Stuart727 has said, was in another stream the other day. Our fan base voted De Jong better than MilinkovicSavage. I'll be honest, I'd take both. I think both are very good players. Both very different players to me. I think De Jong's more of your pass and go type player, whereas MilinkovicSavage has got, I think, a bit more to his all-round game. But hey, that's only my opinions. Yusna is telling people to calm down. I don't know who that was to. David Clark, I like James Justin. I think that's a good. A good player. Right, guys, I am going to sign off. Can I just kindly ask, right? Tomorrow, please come and join Henry and I. It will be, Henry will announce it on his channel. I'll announce it on mine. We will be live 10 p.m. Savva Right, live tonight. It's going to be a football show, not just a Spurs show. I know we get a lot of fans from other clubs in as well. And we're going to be talking about every club. What does every club need? What should every club's aspirations be? The Champions League, we'll look forward to that. And then when the season starts, it will be covering every single result from the weekend and from the Champions League games. So please join us with that. As always, thank you very much. I think everyone has been really, really respectful tonight. I don't think we've had any trolls. I think everyone's been really well behaved, including me for once. So thank you very much. I really, really do. Oh, hang on, just quickly. I can't take that seriously. You can't tell me Casemiro is not that type of player that Thiago is. And Verratti, I'm sorry, he does it in the French league. I'm not having that at all. Thiago Alcantara does it for one of the best teams in the world. Verratti does it in the French league. I'm not having that one bit. On that note, THFC 14 and everybody else, thank you very much. Please keep hitting that like button. hit that subscribe button. And guys, if you want to chat, if anyone wants to chat off here, come and find me on Instagram. I'm always happy to chat with people in DMs or on the chat function. So please come and find me. Kuva99 said, Sav, I didn't read out my really crap joke. Hit the dislike button, everyone. Thanks, Kuva. I didn't see the joke. Or was the joke you? Are you the joke? Much love. Hare Krishna. See you later. It's been brilliant. THFC, I couldn't go on that. I don't disrespect many leagues, but the French league is appalling. The French league is a league that is won by about 25, 30 points each season. I'm sorry, but if Verratti was that good, I mean, look, I like Verratti. He's a top player, but one of them does it week in, week out. One of them does it week in, week out in the Premier League and the Champions League. The other one does it in the French league. And when you watch PSG play, they're not that good to watch. When Leslie Corbett says, sorry, only interested in Tottenham. Cool. Listen, that's fine. Not everyone has to watch. I just feel it's really important that everybody keeps on top of what's happening with other teams. Okay, you're going to pick the one time a team won it in the last 11, 12 years other than PSG. Well done. And who was that manager? Oh, it was Poch. Right, listen, I am going. Much love to you all. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, please subscribe. Come and follow me on Insta. I will see you later. I'm not replying to anything else. Peace out. Bye-bye.